Okay, so today we're going to run through an actual case study. Dustin was running me through this case study last week with one of our clients, and the results after 30 days blew my mind. So I want to share them with you because I think there's a lot of misconception and skepticism around using social media and how it helps to drive real business results. So we're going to walk you through this today. Results right off the bat, just so you know exactly what we're talking about. 60 leads in 30 days. Who doesn't want 60 leads in 30 days?
Everybody.
Come on. It's given her an unbelievable competitive advantage. We're not going to tell you the name of the business because it's given her such a competitive advantage, but I'm going to tell you it's B2C and it's retail. And if anyone's interested in a deeper dive into this case study, get in touch with us. We'll share everything with you, the name of the client, the testimonial, all of that. So 60 leads in 30 days. It ended up costing her $29 per lead. It has generated $30,000 of business for her in 30 days, which if you amortize that over a year is $360,000 worth of net new business from an investment of 6%. So I don't know about you, but if I invested 6% and ended up with that kind of a revenue in my pipe, I think that was a success story. So Dustin, Director of Digital, Dustin, is going to walk us through the big highline items of what this strategy looked like, and then we're going to actually show you the funnel on the screens to show you how this all went down.
Cool. So what we have here really are, I would say, 3 different campaigns inside of our social account. Inside of our 3 campaigns, we have our ad sets, and then we have our ads as well. And the way that we structure this sort of account really defines the offers and how we are bringing those into market. One pro tip, one of the things I see, usually what looks like a rat's nest or a shitstorm or whatever else you want to call it, are usually the way that people organize their social media advertising accounts and Google AdWords accounts too. I've walked into spend accounts where people are spending $50,000 to $100,000 per month on their accounts, and they are a nightmare. There's no rhyme or reason to their campaigns, why they selected different audiences. Nobody knows what they did or how they did it. It makes it really challenging from a ads management perspective to iterate and reiterate on new tactics and try things and know what you've done in the past. And
So the key pro tip is to set it up properly from the very beginning. Take the time to put the work in and set it up properly.
Structure it and organize it, and make sure you're using a system that makes sense to your business.
Okay.
So we have what we call our fall conversions, which are conversions that we've been working on obviously this fall. Those are our main lead generation tactics, and that's going to break things down by brand that we're selling to and by offer as well. And in this case, what's worked really well is our financial offer, and then we also have our brand offers as well for those that are brand sensitive rather than just being finance sensitive.
Right.
Some people, money isn't an object, but the brand is a really
I don't know many of those clients.
So brand is really important for them. So typically when money isn't an object and like a designer or a brand is very important to them, we always see our cost per acquisition increase because it's a lot less because there's fewer of those people. Right. And they make purchasing decisions completely differently than each socioeconomic demographic makes purchasing decisions differently, and
for sure,
therefore need to be treated appropriately. And then obviously we have another video conversion. That's our education campaign, and that helps to re-educate our users as they move down our funnel. And then I always put in an engagement campaign. And engagement campaigns are typically there to generate page likes. Without generating page likes, we decrease the reach that we'll have on social or on Facebook in this case, and our community attrition actually also decreases as we post more. So basically what that means is as you grow a community, if you're not buying likes, especially on Facebook these days, you actually lose community members, and you decrease your ability to grow your community both organically and from a paid approach. So I always recommend running a $5 to $10 a day ad spend on just page likes. Because it helps grow your reach over time, refreshes your audience, you have new community members, and also really helps from the engagement perspective.
That's a great tip too.
Yeah, great tip. Yeah, I mean, the results that I've gotten on a $10 a day ad spend will blow your mind. But like that feeds into really, I'll kind of take a sidetrack here, that really kind of feeds into what the biggest problem on social media is today.
Okay.
Consistency, right? We all love to get really excited or hot and horny on a Tuesday afternoon and start posting 18 freaking things, and then we don't touch social media for another 4 months.
Yeah.
Right? Without consistency, you don't get any results.
Right.
Right?
So it's a commitment.
It's a commitment. It's like showing up at the office every day, right? Like
Yeah.
you get results because you show up at the office every day.
Right.
So why wouldn't you show up on social every day?
Yeah, good point.
Right? So consistency in social media, posting, doing whatever is obviously super important.
Yeah, you know, I get asked all the time about the ROI of social. Well, the ROI of social is nothing if you don't use it with a strategy and use it every day.
Yep.
But start using it and
Yeah.
commit to it, and
Yeah.
you'll see ROI.
And you learn and grow. So like, you know, it's that whole 10,000 hour thing. I mean, I know we've been trying to dispel that whole 10,000 hours to really master something.
Yeah.
But it's true. If you're not spending 10,000 hours at something, you're never going to really be a professional at it.
Right.
And if you don't intend on spending 10,000 hours on it, give it to somebody else to do.
Right.
Who has spent 10,000
Right.
hours on it, so they can understand it and grow it. So now you're learning and growing from that perspective. So.
Right.
Right. So getting into this, you'll notice that we've spent some good time and effort on a couple of other different things. So we have our designer, we have our designers on what we call a 30, 60, 90 retargeting. So we'll have different offers for people that have been away from our site for that long. And we call this a value ladder. Essentially, I'll give a different offer to people that are inside of a 30-day visit, 60-day visit, and 90-day visit.
Right.
So meaning the farther away they get from a lead or a sale, I give them more incentive to purchase from me. Right? If I've got a hot lead, I'm not going to give them 50% off because they're already going to purchase from me.
Right.
But if I have a lukewarm lead and they haven't seen my site, been to my site, or interacted with me in 60 days, I might be inclined to give them 50% because
Right.
I need them back. And I'm
Right.
okay with discounting because I need them in the store.
Right.
And then obviously price sensitive, making sure that we're super price sensitive is obviously the number one offer I always make on every single ad spend. Right, get it out of the way. It's like the elephant in the room, right? Let's
Yeah.
talk about prices. Let's talk about and how it affects our purchasing decision, and we'll see how that works. And then from there, if that doesn't work, that's when I get into some more niche offers. But finance and price sensitivity and anything to do with money is usually the first call to action I make on any ad spend.
Okay.
Yeah. And then same thing with the if we want to go back to look at our video conversions. We can take a look at video views, and in this case, what we're seeing is our different CTAs. So choose your squad wisely. Obviously, the best
CTA's call to action.
call to action. Yeah. So choose your squad wisely was obviously the ones doing the best. And if squad right now is a cultural buzzword for group of friends. So we make sure.
So going back to that knowing your audience piece.
It goes back to knowing your audience, making sure you're using language that they can understand.
That they resonates with them.
Yeah, so that's kind of how we set up the account and what it looks like and how it is structured to get some results. So.
Okay, and so just let's wrap this up. Show me the key metrics on this that we need to be impressed by.
Yeah, sure. So key metrics on our Facebook ad platform really are our results.
Yes.
Super important. I always pay attention to link clicks. I like to understand what my percentage is from this. So I like to know how many people click on my link and then actually make a purchase. So if I look at my whole funnel, I'm measuring my web to leads, I'm measuring my leads to conversions. And those three numbers outside of this for any digital funnel are the most important.
So, Dustin,
Cool.
give me the top 6 pieces that made up this case study.
Yeah, sure. So we focused on strategy, number 1. We work on our user journey, making sure that we understand where our user is going from when they click on our first ad to when they see the third ad, to when they book an appointment, to when they actually purchase the sale. And we configure our pixels and our offers appropriately throughout that entire user journey.
Pixels for our users is what?
So we'll use our both Google and Facebook advertising platforms to pixel the user when they first identify themselves as somebody who's interested. So we call that a page view pixel.
So capturing them.
So yeah, so
Okay.
we capture them and we have the ability to reach them using that pixel later on a Facebook or on a Google platform.
Okay. What else?
From there, we'll then do the same thing. So after they book their first appointment, we'll pixel them with what we call a lead pixel, saying that they're now a lead and they've identified themselves. So we can give them a different message at the lead.
Okay, so that's offers.
And then when they make a purchase, then we'll actually pixel them at the purchase as well and say, hey, cool, now that they've made a purchase, let's also pixel them with a different offer as well. So we can actually get them far into the loyalty phase of the user journey.
Right, and so just to reiterate, this is a B2C case study with a retail industry segmentation.
Yeah.
So these are real customers coming into a store in this case.
Correct.
Okay.
Yeah,
So-
this particular store uses a by appointment only. So it gives us a really unique ability to only sell a particular amount of inventory of appointments, if you will, throughout their week.
Okay, so walk us through how you did this.
Yeah, so from a strategy perspective, what we've done is we've taken three approaches on a funnel. We've taken what we call what I call a flagpole funnel, which is your organic funnel, and we've configured it so that when a user shows up, they're walked through to the appointment and then they convert into a lead. We then, on top of the flagpole, created a bunch of different offers that speaks to where we feel the sensitivity or the pain points are within that client's buyer's decision process. So in this particular industry, and much like every industry, the number one pain point is obviously price. So focusing our first group of offers on price and quality of product has worked extraordinarily well.
So not discounting price.
No.
Justifying price.
Justifying price and showing the value that exists for that price.
Okay.
And then from there, we'll come up with other offers that are relevant. Maybe it's around a particular line or brand that this customer carries. It could be also around further educating the client. And so this is what we've done is we've said, okay, cool, we're going to do offers on price and we're going to do offers on quality of product. And we're going to see how well those perform as far as generating leads. Once the user has identified themselves as a potential lead, we then remarket to them, or let's call it retarget to them inside of 7-day, 30-day, 60-day, and a 90-day period. And if a client in this case identifies themselves as a potential customer that's going to come in for an appointment, will then start educating them until they actually show up for their appointment. So one of our challenges outside of just creating the lead is the idea that we wanted to increase this business's sell-through. Their sell-through is currently at 25%, and we wanted to try and get it up to a 75% sell-through. So what we've done is, it's a lofty goal, but it's doable if we educate the consumer appropriately throughout that process. Now, from a culture perspective, it's acceptable for this potential client to visit 5 other retail locations for the competitors before they actually make a purchasing decision. So what we wanted to do was, after they've said, hey, cool, I'm interested in coming in for an appointment, we'll then remarket them with new offers and new education so that they feel more comfortable with making an actual purchasing decision when they're in the store with us.
That's brand, right?
Mm-hmm.
So that's content that we developed based on getting to know us better, getting to know the client better.
Yeah, it's really understanding how the client works and the user journey they have from the first time that they see you to when they actually make that purchasing decision.
So give me an example of some of the content that was produced in this particular case study for this particular client.
Yeah, so because we're advertising on the social platform, one of the biggest mistakes any brand makes on social is talking about themselves too much.
Okay, stop there for 2 seconds.
Yeah.
Let's go up a little bit higher. A huge amount of skepticism around using social period to drive revenues.
Yeah.
Talk to me about that.
So a lot of people don't think social really works, although they've frankly half-assed their strategies. They have their nieces.
If they had a strategy.
If they had a strategy, they have their nieces or nephews running it for them, who really don't understand purchasing behavior or buyer decision processes or anything strategic around how to actually use the tool to drive results.
Right.
So social is a very effective means of driving revenue, particularly when you have an e-commerce or even a bricks and mortar business that allow for you to measure the effectiveness of your social media marketing. So it is a very effective lead source. It's a very effective revenue generation tactic, and should be taken seriously rather than just thrown to whoever you can find to post for you.
Right, okay.
Yeah.
Okay, so let's go back to the case study. So
Sure.
you've produced several pieces of content.
Yeah.
Where did you put them?
So the content really, this is all driven through Facebook advertising platforms.
Okay, this is a Facebook advertising campaign.
And so what we did really was instead of using produced content, so we actually took selfies from employees in the store of them wearing the potential product. And we used that in conjunction with our advertising campaign to help grow interest in it. So if theoretically a user could see an employee at the store taking a selfie with a phone in front of their face, it gave them the ability to imagine themselves wearing that product. And I think that's the number one reason why this content campaign has worked so well, is because we're now giving the consumer the idea that this is what
Putting them
they will look
in
like.
their shoes.
Yeah.
So that's static content, that's imagery. I know there's also been some videos produced.
Yeah.
Right.
So the video, so the imagery was part of the initial lead acquisition program. The video was part of a television show, but we were able to use it as part of our education. So it was kind of like the 5 tips for purchasing this particular product. And those 5 tips were aimed at educating the consumer to make a decision faster.
And we broke that video down into 5 smaller videos, correct?
Yeah.
To use them, to get more use out of them.
Yeah, so we used one video with with the 5 different tips as the call to action and the copy for the particular ad to figure out which one meant the most to a user. One of the learnings that we came from that was natural language works really, really well. So we used cultural slang, we used language that our audience is typically used to hearing, and that had the best results.
So, Dustin, let's talk about the 3 key points of this case study, but also of any case study, whether it's social or digital. The top three things that anybody really needs to be aware of.
Yeah, so number one obviously is really understanding the challenges that you have. I don't think a lot of people really take the time to figure out why they aren't selling the way they're selling or driving the leads that they want to drive. I think they don't really understand their problems. So without understanding the problems, it's really challenging to come up with a solution for those challenges. And on top of that, you want to make sure that your tactics are actually addressing the challenge itself. We all seem to at times throw things using the tactics that we want to use, and they don't necessarily actually meet the challenge. So in this case, we've used a content set that speaks to the audience in a tone and a voice that they can understand. Whereas I've seen in the past where we create content that doesn't necessarily speak to the audience in any tone or voice that they can understand.
Right.
So it's super important to make sure that we do that. And then obviously above all, it's really making sure that we understand our audience. And not only do we want to understand our audiences, but we also kind of want to grow our audience online. Custom audiences are the new email marketing lists. So email is or has been for a long time what we call digital media strategy secret weapon. It worked well. It drove a ton of traffic. I still have clients to this day who drive a significant amount of traffic using their email marketing campaigns to prop up their current web strategies. But times are changing.
Yeah. And they've done a lot of work to be able to vet those lists.
Shit, I mean, email's been around since the 70s, 60s even in some cases. So it's an old communication tactic. And because social's social and it's being used like a telephone, building those audiences on social media are super important to do.
Right, okay. And then the third thing is, so we just talked about understanding the challenge, then you have to understand the tactics.
Yep.
And then the last thing was using the right audiences appropriately.
Yeah, speaking to your audiences the way they want to be spoken to, identifying which audiences you think are going to work the best for you. In this case's perspective, we've actually have got two completely separate audiences. One is our rural audience, meaning people that live outside of a major city center, and then our urban audience as well. And being able to identify those two audiences differently allows for us to speak to them both differently as well.
Which is so key.
Your downtowners are completely different than your out-of-towners.
Yeah, for sure.